Welcome, Brother Charlie.
Thank you, Sukanya Ben. Thank you.
Thank you for finding time from your much occupied schedule to be here with us. For those who are meeting Brother Charlie for the first time, he is the national coordinator of the Brahma Kumaris Australia. He is the much sought after speaker, international speaker. He has also conducted many international projects of the Brahma Kumaris and also in collaboration with the UN. But his main introduction is his profound understanding of Baba's knowledge and the way he presents it to everyone in the language that they understand, his humility, and how he holds everyone with very high dignity. I once remember he was here conducting a retreat. And on the very first day, I kind of mentioned to him just in passing that, Brother Charlie, I have a question. And somehow the conversation didn't go any forward. And I forgot about it. When he was on his way to the airport, he asked me, Sukanya, you had a question. What was it? And I was so touched that Brother Charlie has so many people to take care of and so many things to be concerned about. But amongst all of that, he remembered that one question and wanted to address it from his heart. So that is what is Brother Charlie for us. Taking care of everyone, having such love of his heart for everyone, and guiding everyone. Thank you, Brother Charlie, for being what you are. Thank you for being with us today. I would like to request Sister Chandru to welcome Brother Charlie with flowers, with words.
Really for you and give you lots of love and remembrance. Oh,
Thank you, Sister Chandru. Thank you so much. That's so lovely.
oh Shanti.
Thank you, Chandru Ben.
Thank you.
Oh Shanti. Yeah.
So Chandru is the director of the West Coast Centers.
Mhm. Okay.
So I request Brother Charlie now, as we have a very much limited time with him, to share with us for a few minutes, and then we had requested questions from this group, which Sister Mana will be facilitating, and later we will have blessing for everyone, all the web texts from the instruments of the centers, and if we still have time, maybe we can have some experience sharing if anyone would like to do that. So let us see how we do with time. So Brother Charlie, requesting your sharing.
So thank you so much, Sister Sukanya, for your very, very sweet and loving welcome. And it's so special to see Sister Chandru. And thank you. I think that's an incredibly magnificent bouquet of flowers. And I can see Sister Kyoko there too. So it's really such a real pleasure for me to be with you. And I just thought that we have a little bit of time together, and sometimes I think it's lovely just to have a bit of heart-to-heart chit-chat, because you know, at this time there's so much, you know, on Zoom, and we listen and we listen and we listen. So I would just really love, as we're a much smaller group, just to have a little bit of heart-to-heart chit-chat. But I think what's touching for me is to have a true connection with all of you for the True Connections team. And it's actually a very beautiful story. And the Confluence Age is so many heart-touching stories, because we were in an RC meeting, and they were talking about global sustenance. And they said, oh, Charlie, why doesn't the Asia Pacific look after it? Because mainly America has looked after it. So I said, I can ask. So Didi Nirmala and I have a meeting with all the NCs of Asia once a month. And so I said to them, would you like to do this? Would you like to create a global sustenance program? And, you know, straight away, the whole of us, there's about 21 of us, said, let's ask the young people of our region, because they're much more tech savvy than all us oldies, but also it will bring everyone together. And so the young people came together, and as far as I know, about 20,000 people took benefit over that month. So that's an incredible thing. But, you know, for me, I think this Baba always has something much deeper happening. You know how we do service, but what is Baba's real agenda? Because the brothers and sisters from the main organizing team told me that 200 young people from around the world came together and held this. And I've talked to quite a lot of them, and almost to the person they've said, when I've said, what was your experience? Oh, it was such a feeling of family love, such a feeling of unity, such a feeling of harmony, such a feeling of cooperation. And, you know, to me, I feel at this time in the cycle, 85 years since Shiv Baba came to change this old world to new, the most important thing, the pinnacle of our service is unity, is to come together and work together with love. And I often feel nothing makes Baba happier, because in a way it's the ultimate sign that we've absorbed God's truth and God's love, that we can work together in that way. And I don't know about all of you, but I find that when I, you know, can work with others in that beautiful sense of harmony, there's not a sweeter feeling than when you're just in, you know, resonance with everyone and you're working together so sweetly. Deep down, it feels right. It feels how things should be. But the reality of life is that we've all had the other experience too. Sometimes there is a clash of sanskaras. There's differences. It happens. It's a part of our journey. But I feel that it's not just a clash of sanskaras. It's just not differences. It's deeper. It's like it's going against my truth, because for the majority of the cycle, I've been able to dance in tune with everyone's sanskaras. And when I can't now, deep down, I feel sometimes there's a sense of failure. Why can't I really get on with this person? And to rid myself of that failure, we put the responsibility on you. And that's why often we begin to blame or project onto others, because deep down, my truth tells me, no, I can be better. I can really get on with everybody. And, you know, I have a sort of a whole list of mulis, which I really love. And one of them is about unity. And Baba said that there's two main things for success: unity and purity. And then Baba said such an interesting thing, which I've often thought about. He said, children, if there's a lack of individual purity, there will be a lack of unity. And in a way, I love that. It's really up to all of us to create this rosary. And when we look at our world at the moment, it is so divided, so opinionated, and becoming more so. And that's why I think, you know, when we step into our self-respect and have that so much love for Baba, that I'm willing to let go what I think sometimes for the general good. And even once Baba said to me personally, he said, use the method of master and child, that you offer your ideas as a master. Everyone has a right, but equally, we all then become a child and accept the majority. to me, this is the way of moving forward together, moving forward together. And when I think of that, I always think of Dadiji, our beloved Dadiji, who loved Chandruben so much and was close to Chandruben. Yeah, she was the one she was the master of bringing hearts together and helping the family move together. And to me, I feel this is the real service, and why this project, even though perhaps it went on a bit long, why it's been so successful is my sense is everyone has felt so a belonging and a unity. And to me, that's what Baba wants more than anything. This is the real service. And I just remember once that Baba was saying, how will Baba be glorified? How will Baba be glorified? You know, he's the father of all human souls. And Baba said, when souls of all backgrounds come together and say, my Baba. So Baba was saying from different cultures, different religions, different professions, different ethnic groups, different languages, we all come together and say, my Baba from the heart. And this is the wonder of the Brahman family. I think it's an incredible family. And really, when we come together, there's so much power in the gathering as a group. We have incredible power. When we have the wisdom to sometimes let go, sometimes what I feel, what I want for the majority. And that's how I think success happens. Anyway, I could ramble on a lot, but we thought that it would be just lovely to just open it out and have a bit of a chat or share some thoughts, share some experiences, ask questions, whatever you feel. It'd be really lovely just to hear from everyone. So
Thank you, Brother Charlie. We have a few questions, and then maybe few of the web texts can share their personal experience with the project. So Sister Mana is going to facilitate this segment, and she has received the questions from various web texts and will be asking. Sister Mana was also the trainer of the project.
Oh, lovely. And where are you based, Sister Mana?
In San Francisco, US.
Oh, you're in San Francisco. Lovely.
First, I just wanted to thank everyone who gave me this opportunity to ask questions on their behalf. So thank you, everyone. Thank you to all the web texts. And Charlie Bhai, thank you so much. It's always, always a pleasure. My questions are regarding Seva. So the first question what we received was that when we are doing global Seva, we meet a lot of souls from different parts of the world, and their ages also vary. It definitely brings a new flavor, but at the same time, it creates conditions that can lead to misunderstandings. Sometimes it's purely because of different styles. It could be because of cultural nuances, or it could be the generation gap. And it leads to unnecessary miscommunication or wrong interpretation, especially when the mode of communication is WhatsApp or text. So in that case, how does one approach?
Yes, you know, at the heart of our life is relationship. Really, when you look at life, it's all about relationship, and at the heart of relationship is communication. And first, I'd like to just share, you know, it's something which I have always found really important, because many years ago in Australia, we have a group of actors, professional actors who are BKs. And once we were doing a play for Baba, and we had a director come and speak to us who was a friend of all these actors. And I always remember he said that whenever you communicate with another person, and look at whether it's your family, the Brahman family, in your workplace, you communicate on 3 levels. First is what you say. Second is your face, which the contemporary language is body language. And third are the vibes, the feelings which we get. And you know, your face and your vibrations account to 80 to 90% of the impact of any communication. And really that had such a deep impression on me, because really I feel that if I'm not getting on with somebody, and this is more in perhaps our face-to-face relationships, then I have to really look. And I've often seen if there's not that really close and open feeling, look at what you hold in the back of your mind. Sometimes there's some assumptions, sometimes some memories, sometimes a little bit of criticism. Or, you know, we say, hi, nice to see you. But in my mind, I'm saying, last week you said this, you know, we're sort of, people feel it. People feel what's in your mind. And some people wonder why I can't get on with others, because I'm actually holding this subtle criticism and this stuff on my memory track, and then when I look at them, they look through that filter of not totally negative, but maybe not totally positive either. So I don't really get that, that closeness. Really, I find that for me, I pay attention on the feelings, the vibrations, because that's the majority of communication. And I think really, I feel for, you know, we pay so much attention to soul consciousness and remembrance of Baba, but you know, the third thing for me is to see virtue in people. To me, that is in a way, the way you overcome your ego is to really know the value of everybody. Every single Baba's child has value. And when you hold that in your attitude, people feel it. And this is how Dadiji ran the yajna. She held everyone's value in her attitude. And because she did that, people got these feelings from her. And you know, whether it's through your mouth or through technology, I think people, because in a way you may be WhatsApping someone on the other side of the world, but the energy of your mind is going through that message and people feel it. And this is the beauty, I think, because when there's that, you hold their value in the attitude, regardless of their culture, regardless of age or whatever, they get that. When people get a feeling of love, when people get a feeling of belonging, that does the majority of the work. Really, it does. And I think I've made a decision, and I really feel that there's only a few years left in our kalpa. Make a decision in life to value everybody, respect everybody. And even a week or so ago, Baba was saying in the Murli, you know, even if you meet somebody that you've never met before at the checkout counter or something, I think we are the angels. Our life is to remember one and spread, you know, the light and love of God. That's the purpose. And if I'm in a job, my main job in the company is to do that, to be God's representative, to spread this light. You don't have to preach, as we know. In countries like we're all in, people won't accept that. But your face, your vibrations, the care, the kindness will absolutely attract people to Baba. But in saying that, I'm really, really careful what I put in emails, what I put in messages, that it can't be misinterpreted. Because to be honest, and you know, it's a variety family, and if we're feeling a bit low, our self-respect is a little bit down, we get a message, then it touches something. And I would always start with a loving comment, a question, how are you? Because before we do service, to care for each other is more important. You know, care is so important these days. And you know, they say that the quality of an organization is shown by the way they care for the people in the organization. And really my experience in this family, you know, that to show maximum care, understanding, compassion for each other is really makes us a strong family, really strong.
Yes, that's so true. Keeping value of other person. I think that really shifts the consciousness. I'm going to keep that in my mind. I remember once when we were doing WhatsApp, when WhatsApp had just started, and I wrote to my mother. I was in a meeting and I just wrote to her, instead of writing okay, I just wrote K and I just sent it to her. and she was like, what do you mean by K? You can't even write a sentence to me. And then I was like, oh no. And in my head, it was like, okay, I'll get to it. But I had that consciousness, like I was like, yes, I understand, I'll get to you. And I just wrote K. And of course, it did not go well with her. So nowadays I make it a point. I have emojis. I start with a heart emoji. I end with a heart emoji. So that makes a difference. My second question is, in the corporate world, when you have to lead a project, your role is to have the best team, and you put the right person on it for the right role. But in Seva, most of the time we have very enthusiastic volunteers. And here it's because of the love of yagya or the desire to serve. Trying to find whether someone is good fit for the role, in this case, is sometimes a dilemma. You're at the world stage, which requires a certain kind of professionalism. And at the same time, you need to handle the spirit of the person. If you give them a role or a job which they don't like, that also sometimes doesn't work. So then how do you balance that? How do you balance their spirit of seva and at the same time making sure that they are appropriate for that role?
Yes, I think it's a question that happens absolutely everywhere. And like you say, in the world outside, they hire and fire. Someone's not doing the job, you know, you're out, you know, but this family, we're a family, you can never say that. And, you know, I think this is where leadership comes in. Baba never uses that word, but you know what I mean, because I love the word Baba uses, we're instruments, because we are. But as a leader in the Brahmin family, really we lead through our dharana, and we win trust by the way we deal with people. And sometimes I think, you know, like Daddy Prakashmani once met a group of us, and you know, let's say you have some in your team that aren't that capable. I think that's what you're saying, but they've got a true heart. And Daddyji said, I trust everyone. I consciously trust everyone, which is an incredible thing, because in this world, people usually start with mistrust, because that's the nature of Kali Yugi body conscious life. But it's the same sort of thing, because I found that when Daddyji trusted people, they grew into that trust. You know, like you feel it's so precious to be really trusted by somebody that you want to grow into that trust. We are working with a number-wise family. And to me, this is an essential lesson and one of the deepest truths that God gives us. That number-wise isn't a judgment. It's not judging. It's a reality of life. We are different. And a wise leader will understand that and not put the pressure of expectations on certain people that can't live up to them, and then they become disappointed in you and you become disappointed in them. And this says, you know, what we have to learn is to, I think, in that, through our attitude, have a lot of faith with people. They come close, and then you start to help them understand how you feel is the best way for this group to go, for their responsibility to go. So it's like along the way you build them. And I've been amazed how some of Baba's children, to be honest, don't appear qualified for a role. But when you invest love and trust and faith in them, even if they make a few mistakes, they grow into it. And, you know, I've seen in Australia some souls who perhaps aren't so well educated have become the most amazing teachers, absolutely incredible teachers. And I love this. What did Baba do at the beginning of the yajna? He got a lot of young girls and he invested absolute love and trust. And he grew them and he grew them and he made them like internationally recognized spiritual leaders. And I think that's where it's up to us as leaders to invest love and faith and trust. And when that relationship is there, then you can start to tell and share what you really feel you'd like them to do in the role and deliver and how to deliver, et cetera, et cetera. But it's more the relationship that is built first. And recently we were talking about this here, the 4 principles of trust. And that is, first, keep your promises. First, keep your promises. Second, walk your talk. Be the example. Third, be benevolent. You know, be benevolent. To me, essential in everything. And fourth, be predictable. In other words, you know, if I'm sort of one day I'm, great to see you, lovely. And the next day, I just don't even say hello to people, you know, moody and unpredictable. When we have those 4 principles, actually, if we're leading a group, leading a center, leading a service team, we build trust. They begin to trust you and the team. And the more trust, they grow into the role. But I think this life is all about patience. We do need patience. And even if someone doesn't, you know, step up and play the part, still, I think Baba's way is to keep giving them regard and respect. And if there is some other way, some other service they can do, that's good. But Baba's way is always to give that regard and respect, love and respect.
That's so beautiful. So invest in people first and then invest in the program. That's
definitely, definitely.
Lovely. Thank you. I like the thing when you were mentioning about that deep down when we have friction with people, we don't like it because we've always been in harmony with people so many years, right? And that's why when some friction happens, we don't like it. So regarding that, a question, on that line, and I have that problem. Whenever there's a misunderstanding, my first reaction is to talk it and clear it out. Because when I check myself, the subtle feeling is that I'm a nice person and my intentions are good. And please see me that way. Please see me as a very nice and a sweet person. So what happens with that is that it creates more confusion because I'm going and correcting. I'm thinking that I'm trying and correcting that situation because, you know, so how do you balance? What do you do in that?
Yes. You know, I think that we need to, I suppose, just everyone has their own different ways of dealing with differences. And I think for a lot of BKs, we avoid conflict because it's such an uncomfortable thing. And that actually, we have 2 BKs in Australia who've studied master's degrees in conflict management. And they say the more you avoid conflict, it escalates. And that's sometimes we tend to, because it's uncomfortable to talk about, we keep avoiding. And that's why I feel your approach really of being more open about it, I feel is good. It's just that once again, everything in our life is intent. The law of karma is all about intent. And what I've experienced myself, you know, if you have a difficult conversation with somebody, and we have to have them sometimes where we're having differences, if deep down, you know how sometimes you say, oh, listen, let's get on and let's forget the past and let's be friends. And yet deep inside, I still think I'm right and you're wrong. You know that feeling? Deep down, I'm saying on the surface, let's clear the air, let's resolve the conflict. But deep down, I'm still holding. That won't be successful. You truly clear the air when you have the humility to neutralize your little bit of ego You know, even if sometimes you were perhaps right, but it doesn't really resolve the problem, I would say.
Right.
Humility has an incredible power in human relationships. And I think that and it's more not a verbal thing, it's a feeling thing. And when you really become humble and you genuinely listen to the heart of somebody, and if you've made a mistake, apologize. Or if there's been a misunderstanding, apologize. That's what I like to do. But sometimes people still don't accept it. But at least you, from your side, have done what you can. You've tried to be honest, humble, open. But, you know, I do feel that the subtle power of the mind does its work, because life means there'll be conflicts. And we know in our family, Brahman family, we're old souls, we will have differences. To me, that's not the problem. The problem is how I respond to the differences. And do I fall back to my old pattern of feeling hurt and upset and then start to blame? Or do I apply Gyan? And I sort of go into the bigger picture. I'm a soul, you're a soul. You know, sometimes there's some past account, but I'm choosing now not to fall into thoughts of why, and I'm going to have good wishes. Now, easy to say, I know, but the power of a mind having benevolent feelings is unbelievably powerful, and it heals. It does a subtle healing of hearts, because really I feel it's so important, this, because if there's a sort of a conflict, it's sitting in the back of my mind. And you can't, even when you sit to remember Baba, sometimes that conflict comes front of mind. You know, and then I'm justifying and, you know, arguing my perspective in my mind, you know, how we can do those sorts of things. I'm a great believer in, where possible, clearing conflicts, even saying to a person, can I speak to you? And when I speak, I never say, when you do this, when you said this, like accusing. I always say, when this happened, I felt. So it's like you're more talking about your responses rather than their behavior. There's a lot of ways to really learn how to dialogue with another person. It may not become perfect, but if it clears the air so that you can have a workable, friendly relationship, it's so important, you know, it's really so important. I don't know whether I've answered the question.
No, yes. I think you did. I'm going to check myself next time when I'm clearing the air, but I'm using the word when you said this rather than, I mean, instead saying that I felt like this and putting it. Yeah, I think, yeah, I'm going to pay attention on that. That's a good one. And I also like the fact when you said differences will happen. It's the way we respond to the differences. Are we falling back again to our old habit patterns? So yeah, that's nice. Those are the key things. Thank you. We have one question from Sister Nina. She's from San Francisco also. She asked that as Baba's children, we know we have to remember Baba and keep our self-respect during seva. However, when we are in silence and when we're remembering Baba, our samskaras, or what we like to call Maya, they prop up, and then we slide into body consciousness. So what is a quick way to wear our seatbelt and be seated on our seat of self-respect, as Baba says at such times? So what's a quick way to wear our seatbelt? We need something quick fix.
Yeah. You know, I think the Muli that you read this morning was incredibly powerful, wasn't it? Because in a way, Baba was saying, when we set ourselves on the seat of self-respect, then you won't shake, you won't wobble. Maya can't oppose you. And that's exactly the words Baba said. And this is so deep. And we had a beautiful discussion here about this, because I think the biggest long-term Maya for Brahmins is ordinariness. We know God, We know who we are. We know what's happening in the world. You know, our fortune is so extraordinary. And yet sometimes I think, you know, am I fortune focused or misfortune focused? In the sense, do I keep remembering the wonder of my life? Because when I do, it cancels out the petty problems and petty conflicts. But if I'm misfortune focused, if my mind's always going, oh, the family's like this, and so said this, and this didn't happen, actually it cancels out the bigger picture, the fortune. And really, I think when you set yourself in your self-respect, and to me, the quick method is to experience Baba's love. And to me, you know, the greatest power in this life is to really taste and experience that love. That love just settles you down. That love clears your heart of problems. And to me, that's what I try to do every morning, sit in front of Baba, Shiv Baba, and fill my heart with love. And if ever anything is challenging me, just really feel loved. And if I don't feel that love for any reason, ask myself, this is deep knowledge actually, what is blocking it? Because it's something in me, some sense of unworthiness, some sense that I'm not pure enough or good enough to be loved by God. And this is Gyan, to remove all the blocks so that I really can absorb the ocean of love. Because honestly, my experience is when there's this natural loving relationship, there is natural remembrance. When there's natural remembrance, there's natural transformation. And when there's natural transformation, service absolutely flourishes. It all begins by feeling loved. But the reality is storms will come. And Baba says to, you know, even Brahma Baba shares, storms will come. And I began to think when I had a storm in my early days, oh, it shouldn't happen. But after a while, I realized it does happen. And actually, it's the storms that help you grow. And even in this morning's Muli, in the blessings is about this, that when a problem comes, it actually takes you to a new level because you have to access a quality of Gyan and yoga to overcome that problem. But really, I do feel that love, to really taste Baba's love, is the great power of this spiritual life. And that's when you can easily, in a second, let go some waste or negative thinking. Yeah, of course, it takes practice, but that's the great power.
Thank you, Charibai. That was beautiful. I think we have just a few minutes for our last question. And it's from our own Kyoko sister. Her question was that now that we can't go to Madhuban to take sustenance from Bab Dada and from the seniors, what practices do you think would be the best for all of us double foreigners?
Thank you, Sister Kyoko. Nice to see you with Chandru you know, one of my favorite points is there's benefit in everything. Do you love that point? I just love it because to me, there's such a truth. And what's the benefit of this time at the moment? You know, about 3 years ago, Baba stopped coming. And if you look at what's happening in the yagya, all the daddies have left except for one. In last 18 months, we can't go to Madhuban. A lot can't even go to the center or meet the Brahmin family. And so to me, what is the benefit? The benefit is that it's almost like drama is teaching us to stand on our own 2 feet. Ultimately, this exam is me and Baba, me and one Baba. And to me, the successful Brahmins I've observed are the ones who have one Baba and none other. They're the ones who really flourish in this life, are always growing. And in a way, drama is making me make Baba my absolute spiritual, emotional, mental foundation, which is ultimately, I have to go home. I have to let everything go. So this scene is really wonderful. But in saying that, I do think that, Baba used to say to us, in the early days, make Madhaban wherever you are. And so I know what we do in Sydney, in the main center, we have Amrit Vela together. You know what we've been doing? We've been putting up on a huge screen, huge, in the hall, we put up the Tower of Peace. Or we put up Baba's room in Pandav Bhavan. Or we put up the History Hall, and it's so beautiful. Like, you just get the feelings of that, our home, Madhaban. But really, I think this is the time to say, Baba, I can sustain myself, whatever is going on in the world around me, no matter how much it changes. And this is what Baba wants us to be, a self-sustainer. Once Daddy Janki, I think she was meeting me and Ken actually, and she said, the qualification to sustain others is to first know how to sustain yourself anywhere at any time. So that, I'm not really dependent on anything in the external environment, but I can be happy regardless of external circumstances. And, for me, I've done more study in the last 18 months than I've done for years. And it's been so good for me, actually. I think it's been an incredibly spiritually uplifting time for me. I think, and really what the future is, I don't know, but I spoke to Didi Nirmala just a couple of days ago, and she seems to feel that we will be back in Madhaban early next year. And usually I find she's fairly practical. She's quite practical. So let's hope we can see each other at least once more in our home. So let's see the drama.
Thank you, Charlie Bhai. I'm receiving more questions, but we are a little short in time. And I'm sorry, I won't be able to ask more questions because we have a hard stop at 7. But we'll try our best to send the questions across to Charlie Bhai, and maybe then through WhatsApp we can communicate. Sorry about that, but thank you so much, Charlie Bhai. Thank you for all your answers. I had a great time.
Thank you, Sister Mana.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lovely to meet you. Thank you.